Tonight's broadcast is made possible by Strack & Van Til, your favorite Indiana-made grocery store. Crowell Insurance Company. Tonight's broadcast is made possible by Strack & Van Til, your favorite Indiana-made grocery store. Crowell Insurance Company, the insurance superheroes. Ironworkers Local 395, proud to be union. Four Seasons Mechanical, quality and comfort is our guarantee. Boilermakers Local 374, earn while you learn. IBEW Local 697, proud to support high school sports. Bricklayers Local 4, the best hands in the business. Economy Electric Heating and Cooling, keeping you cool in the summer and cozy in the winter. The Right Group, the right way to buy and sell real estate. Mark Macknick, Chicagoland Tax Professionals. Blythe's Team Sports, where the athlete shops. And Hampton Inn, downtown Indianapolis. This is the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to Game Night on the Region Sports Network. We come to you tonight from Portage High School, as the Region Sports Network provides live video coverage of Indiana High School girls basketball as the Crown Point Bulldogs take on the Portage Indians. I'm Andrew Mild, and I'll have the play-by-play for tonight's action. And joining me with the color analysis is Wally McCormick. Good evening, Wally.
Excited to be here. It's good to get basketball rolling.
It's the unstoppable force that has been the Crown Point Bulldogs that has been the story in Northwest Indiana. Of course, Brad Stangl goes over from Hanover's Central boys basketball to Crown Point girls basketball, and they're 8-0, Wally, and out of those 7 out of 8 wins, only one has been by single digits.
Yeah, they're coming into tonight's game averaging 63 points a game and giving up only 37, and they played some pretty good teams early in the season, so new coach, same Bulldogs.
And they've really developed a big three. Of course, Ava Ritchie and Ivy Henderson returning. They were the core of last year's offense. But an emerging star, a budding star with them, as you will, is Ava Punick, the junior who gets her hands and the ball as many times as she can. She's averaging 8.7 points.
Yeah, and anytime you have a three-headed monster, it's a lot better than having one or two. So for them, I'm sure Coach Stengel's excited. The more kids he's got in the roster that are averaging up towards 10, the better off they're going to be down the road, because somebody's going to be in foul trouble, somebody's going to get sick, somebody's going to get hurt. So he's got to be happy about that early.
Yeah, for the Crown Point Bulldogs, we were talking about them getting a new coach. Same story for the Portage Indians as they brought over Richard Davis from Michigan City, and they've started off 4-4. They opened up conference play with a win, and their big player has been Maria Collins. She scored 11 points on 2 of 5 from 3 against Hobart.
Yeah, and the Hobart game, Portage played really well. You know, for them, it's at least tonight, size is going to be an issue. Portage isn't very big, so they got to rely on their athleticism, and in order for them to be successful, they have to shoot well from the outside.
For the Crown Point Bulldogs, their starting lineup looks like this. It's Sydney Hale, the sophomore, Ava Ritchie, Ivy Henderson, and Ava Punick, the big three that we were talking about. And Addison Seibert, the daughter of Chris Seibert, who's the head coach of not only the Crown Point Bulldogs, but also here at Portage for 7 years. His opening tip, and it's won by Crown Point. The possession arrow will belong to Portage. Henderson, at the top of the key, drops it off to Punick. Ritchie being closed off by Gonzalez. Ritchie, head of steam, pulls up baseline, and Hale cuts back door. She was wide open. An easy two to start it off for Crown Point.
Yeah, Crown Point came out running a flex offense. Portage playing man-to-man defense. Anytime you have to help up, you're susceptible for back cuts, and I got a feeling we'll see a lot of that today because that's kind of what Crown Point's MO.
Cutting, and she gets rejected by Punick. Ritchie pushing the tempo here. She gets herself into the corner, and Crown Point will set up their set offense. Seibert in the corner, going to her left. Hale top of the key. Ritchie had a nice pass in the last possession that led to two. Henderson finds Ritchie near side. Henderson saving the ball, gets it into the corner. Punick losing her control for a minute, regaining it. Crown Point taking their time. But the one thing about this team, Wally, is if it turns into a track meet, they're a really hard team to stop.
Yeah, Crown Point as a group is really athletic. So they run a lot of this chin set that they're in right now that's Princeton and UConn have made famous in women's basketball. And anytime they can get 6'4", a foot away from the basket, that's a good thing for Crown Point.
Henderson gets hit and puts it down. And that patience pays off for Crown Point as Ivy Henderson will go to the line for one.
Definitely able to reverse the ball a couple times. And Henderson did a nice job pinning and sealing underneath the basket. And good recognition by her teammate. And
Henderson, a 50% free throw shooter, and she misses. So still get 2 points, and Crown Point leading by 4. Lockett got Henderson in the air, and Lockett will be called for a travel. Lockett and both Coach Davis did not like the call. Portage starting line, Marina Collins, Cameron Lockett. China Whitehead is out there to try and combat with Ivy Henderson. Olivia Gonzalez. Losing the ball was Ritchie. Portage going down the floor. Gonzalez pulls up at half court, gets over to Scott. Portage still looking for their first points, but they have to be careful. This Crown Point team, they're really good at deterring shots as they did there, especially from Ivy Henderson. But they can also steal the ball, get into transition. Ritchie tried for the spin move, lost it, was able to find Seibert. Henderson from the elbow, high arcing shot, hits off the back rim. Crown Point will rein in an offensive rebound. It's Hale. Punick driving the lane, losing it, and tipping it out of bounds. Just lost control there.
It's going to be a long night for Portage if they continue to let Crown Point get offensive rebounds. Portage is going to have to do a great job of blocking out today and try to hold Crown Point to one shot per possession.
Yeah, I will say the one thing that makes Crown Point so unique and why they've been so good has been those offensive rebounds and then their ability to swipe the ball away and push it down the floor for easy points.
Yeah, and Henderson causes problems too because she's an inside-outside. You know, if you're 6'4", and so everybody's going to put a big on her, she's able to step out and shoot that 17-footer. That's a problem.
Henderson gets the steal. As Whitehead tried to throw it over top to no success. Ritchie against a couple of defenders can't get the friendly roll. Portage slowing it down. Lockett crossover, get into the post, and she was hit. She'll go to the line for two. As Seibert came down on her.
Yeah, and anytime you get the ball in that deep, that's, you know, offensively that's good. And a little turnaround jumper, and they said Seibert caught her on the arm, so Portage going to have an opportunity to get on the board here.
Lockett shooting 57% from the free throw line this year. And you look at the numbers for Portage, they aren't necessarily bad. The one thing that's been hurting them in the early part of the year has been their inefficiency to score the ball. 56% the free throw line, 27% from the field, and 22% from behind the arc.
Yeah, it's difficult to win if you can't put it in the basket.
Lockett hits the ladder of the free throws, going 1 for 2, and that will put Portage up on the board, still looking for their first field goal. Sydney Hale to Seibert. One more pass. Punick going to try from downtown and left it short.
I think if Portage would be happy if Crown Point's shooting 3-pointers all night. I mean, obviously they're a good shooting team, but it's better than shooting the ball from a foot away from the basket.
Especially from Punic, that was just her 5th three-point attempt this season.
Yeah, and Portage is full court man the last couple possessions, and although they're not getting turnovers, it's hurrying up Crown Point to try to get into some of their sets.
Cameron Lockett gets the first field goal up on the board for Portage. Lockett has scored all 3 points for the Indians. Seibert trying her luck from the corner. Can't bury it. Slightly offline. Gallen running the point for Portage. Hale's got some good hands, try to rip it away from her. Screen sets up a shot for Collins, and she pushed it off to the right. Checking in is Courtney Clark, a 6'2 junior. Ritchie throws off the back of the basket, and that will be a Crown Point turnover.
I don't think Coach Stengel's real happy right now. There's 2 possessions in a row where, you get a shot off of one pass, or, she kind of got caught up in the air and wasn't sure what she was going to do with the ball, so he's making some substitutions.
Yeah, Sophie Hart and Rihanna Gerzic have both checked in after that turnover from Ava Ritchie as Ivy Henderson hits the bench, and the same for Addison Seibert. 4-3, Crown Point currently leading in the low-scoring first quarter. That was a rush shot, and able to get their own rebound is Portage. Collins, push shot, and she gets bumped on the arm. And Portage stringing some passes together, setting up some open shots, and Crown Point has now sent them to the line for the second time.
Yeah, and Portage is doing a good job of getting the ball into the middle of the paint. And if you get it that deep, right now we have 2 of our last 3 possessions, I think Portage has got it in deep and gone to the foul line.
And that was all thanks to Jasmine Bird, who missed her shot and followed it to get the offensive rebound to set up Collins. Collins had a big game earlier this year against Andrain, where she scored 23 points, hitting 4 threes. She's been the main source of offense for Portage in the early parts of the year, team coming in at 4-4.
Yeah, she's a senior. She's been in the program for a long time. It's,
And a 75% free throw shooter just went 0 for 2. Leaving points on the floor right now is Portage. Ritchie trying to slow down this game. She's had a couple of turnovers. Ritchie running the point. She can score. She can pass. She does a little bit of everything for Crown Point.
nice
She
pass.
feeds it down low to Sophie Hart, and Hart, deep in position, gets hit by Courtney Clark, who comes down on her. And Crown Point will now get a couple of free throws from the charity stripe.
Yeah, and Portage is, trying to rotate their bigs. They don't have a very tall bench, so it's going to be important for her to stay out of foul trouble today.
It was China Whitehead that started as the center instead of Courtney Clark, and for Clark, that's her first foul, and Hart misses the front end of her free throws. From the line, she's shooting at a 56%. Crown Point coming in ranked 15th in the coaches poll in the state of Indiana, as Hart hits the second free throw to make it a 2-point game. They're trying to go 9-0 for the first time since 2019.
Yeah, and they got a big one tomorrow. Crown Point's got Penn tomorrow, and they got Valpo next Friday. So I'm sure Coach Stengel's hoping that his girls aren't looking forward to those next 2.
Ritchie rips it away from Collins. It's 2-on-1. Leave it for Hale. Hale with the left hand. And that great defense leads to 2 easy points for the sophomore.
Ritchie showing some maturity there as a sophomore, giving the ball up for a teammate to get a layup.
Velasquez thought about shooting it there. Instead, she'll dish it off to Bird at the top of the key. Velasquez going to her left. Bad pass, and Stengel was hit with the ball.
You got to keep your head on a swivel, apparently, down there.
But you and I were talking about it before the broadcast today, Wally, and for Crown Point, that team to beat in the DAC just has to be Valpo, who went undefeated last year in DAC play, and they have some real talent going on over in Valparaiso.
Yeah, Valpo made a nice run last year, and they're off to a good start right now. They have 1 loss against a good team, and so it's early in the season, of course, but the 2 people atop the Duneland Conference will get to face each other next week.
Ritchie can't get the roll. Hart with the hustle play gets the rebound, finds Hale. Hale attacking. Hale gets hit hard. She goes down to the hardwood, and Crown Point will inbound it from underneath the basket. That foul on Jasmine Bird. And Callis Scott jumps off the bench. She goes in.
And Bird just, she tried to beat her with her feet and just didn't get there in time. And
you coached football for a long time. That looked like a football hit from up here.
Yeah, I little flex cut off the baseline.
Good feed down low, and Ava Ritchie can't make it. She gets blocked by Scott. Crown Point, back to the cap. Gerzik, step back, 3, and it rims out.
Well, the Dogs are getting shots. They're just not going right now early in the game, but it's a good look.
Another turnover by Portage. Crown Point won against Lowell in the battle of the undefeated, 60-39. And for Portage, they were able to outscore Hobart 26-5 in the third to cruise to their win. As this is the third game of a homestand for the Indians. They've gone 2-0 thus far.
Yeah, had a nice win against Hobart the other night.
They moved the ball well, scored efficiently, something we talked about. Gerzik feeds it, and it's tipped away as Velasquez comes crashing down. What was really important was that Portage was able to clean up some of those turnovers, and they had 16 assists on 22 field goals made.
Yeah, and I think as a coach, anytime if you're charting possessions, you want to limit the number of possessions that you have the ball where you don't even get a shot off. And if you get a shot off and you don't make them, so be it. But you can't live with possessions where you don't even get a shot attempted.
Leah Menchaca is going to the line. That's the 4th foul on Portage in this first quarter. Seen both teams go to the free throw line a decent amount of times. And by the numbers, if it comes down to free throws, Crown Point has the advantage, shooting 11% better than the Indians thus far. You might start seeing some of these Indians get into foul trouble early on in this game.
Yeah, at this pace, they got 4 already.
Hale is about ready to check in. Now she goes back to the bench. And Menchaca goes 2 for 2. Ava Ritchie will get a breather. As we're under 90 seconds in the first quarter, Crown Point going to deploy the press with Sydney Hale, a one-woman wrecking crew with those active hands. 14 steals in her last 4 games. That's 3.5 steals per game. Scott went inside, got it out. Portage trying to go baseline. Crown Point knocks the pass out of bounds.
Yeah, Portage got a little dribble drive going on right now where they've been able to get into the middle and kick it out to three-point shooters.
Rivera inbounding from down low. Velasquez gets to Scott. Scott going down the lane, and Scott draws the contact.
Third time this quarter, Portage has got it deep into the lane and gone to the free throw line. They haven't really hurt Crown Point by making the free throws, but, if you're Coach Davis with this new team or with this young team, you got to be happy that the kids don't look intimidated. They're going after Crown Point.
Sophie Hart charged with her second foul, and Coach Stengel is going to take her out. One of the first players off the bench for Crown Point, already in foul trouble early, as Ava Punick will arrive back in the game. Scott 1 for 2. Second free throw off to the right. 1 minute to go. Crown Point getting into their set offense. Hale tried to go down low, but that was closed off. Punick goes right down the lane and blows the layup.
Good possession, though, for Crown Point. They got a good shot. They just haven't shot real well.
3 ball on its way from Lockett, and it's a break off the side of the rim. Hale lost it. Rivera rips it away. And then they're going to get a foul on Sydney Hale.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where they get out and run, and she realizes she doesn't have the numbers, so she tries to pull up like I'm sure Coach wants her to do, and turn it over and then compound it with the foul 84 feet away from the basket.
You can tell there's a little bit of nerves in this game. Both teams understand how big it is to win your conference matchups early on in the year. Both teams 1-0 in the DAC. Lockett down the lane, off the front rim. Gershik with the rebound. She had someone open down low. It's Punick. Punick with the easy layup.
Great pass.
And there it is. Crown Point in transition is one of the better teams you're going to find in this part of the state.
Yeah, and this man-to-man pressure that they're playing right now is speeding Portage up a little bit. Crown Point has absolutely no problems playing a run and gun game with Portage today. They'd love it.
It was a steal by Menchaca and then a jump ball. So Portage will keep it on this side, and Coach Stengel is going to deploy Ivy Henderson for the final defensive stand with 5 seconds left in the first quarter. Andrew Meyer with Wally McCormick on the Region Sports Network. Happy that you're joining us. Rivera on the side finds Scott. Scott going to her right, going around Punick. That's a wild shot. Ball loose, and the buzzer sounds to end the first quarter. Crown Point will lead by 7 as we go to the second. You're watching Region Sports Network coverage of high school girls basketball on youtube.com/Region Sports, facebook.com/Region Sports Nation, and regionsports.com.
Ava, let's go.
Try it on.
The shortest distance between two people is a smile. That's why we're committed to fighting hunger in our communities until everyone has a reason to smile. Strack Van Til, where making life easier starts with a smile.
Hi, I'm Crowell Company's Lantern Man. If you're a contractor, it's my job to make your insurance coverage simple and affordable. Because I know time is money, I'll come to your business. Certificates and bonds are a snap. Wherever you are, whatever business you're in, we've got you covered. As Crowell Company's Lantern Man, I'm your insurance superhero.
Crowell Company's insurance professionals. Highland, Merrillville, and Michigan City.
The Friday night forecast is brought to you by our friends at Economy Electric Heating and Cooling. Tonight's forecast is 23 degrees, but with those 12-mile-per-hour winds, it feels like 11. That's the Friday night forecast brought to you by Economy Electric Heating and Cooling. Visit them on the web at forajobdoneright.com. Andrew Mile, Wally McCormick. Second quarter just getting started. Crown Point starts off with the ball. Crown Point leading by 7. Crown Point has her starters out there. Ritchie, mid-range jumper off the back rim. Gets her offensive rebound and tosses it up with the left hand. A good effort play to start off the second quarter.
Yep, great hustle play.
And now Portage, they're trying to push it, and that leads to 2 points as Olivia Gonzalez kissed it off the glass, and the response after Ritchie got an easy layup.
A couple of sophomores going at it.
Very talented sophomores.
Yep.
Crown Point was an exceptionally young team last year. Same for Portage. Whole teams with their new head coaches playing their second conference game.
It's a little two-man high post pick and roll thing that Crown Point's. Ritchie does a good job of using the screens and coming. They're trying to make a concerted effort to get into the post here to 50.
There'll be a jump ball, goes to Portage. And because of that, it's led to Ivy Henderson being able to roll down the lane, and she has great body control too. She can catch the ball off a cut or going down for a screen, and then whenever she catches it, she can just turn around and put it in.
And Portage has done a pretty good job with their help side defense of getting the third person involved in that screen and roll. You get a third person in, that way you can play the original screen a little harder, come out on it. Don't put your hands down.
Portage went for the old give and go, but Cameron Lockett charged with the travel.
Yeah, I think Bulldogs dodged a bullet there on a reach-in foul, but
you can tell at times that this Portage team is starting to put it together. Again, the younger team, new coach, a lot of turnovers early on in the year that has cost them some points. Seibert was trying to get it down low into the post to Henderson, but couldn't do it, being closed off. Henderson's battling with Whitehead. Ritchie at the top of the key. Gerzic in the game. She's on the wing.
That high ball screen again.
Punick spinning, fadeaway jumper, not enough on it. This Portage defense is standing stout early on in this game. Gonzalez is able to find Whitehead. Whitehead post move and couldn't get the roll. Too strong as Ritchie in transition gets the deuce.
Yeah, her aggressive play is, she's doing a nice job on both ends of the court. And that time getting a rebound, taking it coast to coast, right down the middle. She's tough.
Timeout called by Richard Davis, and Portage will take a quick 30-second break as you're watching Game Night on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Thinking about what to do after high school? Consider a career with Boilermakers Local 374. As a Boilermaker apprentice, you'll earn while you learn. We offer excellent wages and benefits, and as part of our no-cost hands-on apprenticeship program, you'll learn from the best in state-of-the-art training centers and on the job. Become a union Boilermaker and get on your way to a great career. Find out more, visit www.local374.org or call 219-845-1000.
IBEW Local 697 isn't just wiring buildings. We're woven into the very fabric of Northwest Indiana. We're your neighbors. Our kids go to school with yours. We stand in the same bleachers cheering for the same high school teams. When you hire a union electrician, you're not just getting the highest quality work, you're supporting our community. IBEW Local 697.
Welcome back to the Region Sports Network. Angel Mild and Wally McCormick coming out of the first timeout used by Portage. Crown Point leading by 9 after Ava Ritchie went right down the floor in transition, got an easy 2 points. Clark in the game for Portage. Big girl in the middle. She catches it off the roll. And Portage secures the offensive rebound. Velasquez was battling for it. Attacking baseline, charge called on Lockett.
Portage girls are playing hard. I mean, there's a number of times that they've got, once again, another offensive rebound and another opportunity. They're certainly much smaller, but they're attacking the bigger players from Crown Point. Crown Point is, we tend to forget because they're 8-0, they're really, really young. There's 13 kids on the varsity roster. There's only 3 seniors. So they're going to have nights.
You definitely tell that the message from Portage, though, was play hard and not be afraid of this Crown Point team. And we've seen some of those younger players, with their lack of experience, have a hard time controlling themselves. Seibert, top of the key. Gerzic back to Seibert. Seibert thought about it. Ritchie open it in the corner. And she doesn't make Portage pay. Her shot too long.
Great defensive possession by Portage. Portage is doing a nice job of just sitting in a stance and not getting beat off the dribble.
Gonzalez immediately pinned with a travel after she caught the pass from the rebound. And Crown Point will gladly get the ball back.
Yeah, and that's another one of those possessions where you have a good defensive possession, you get the ball, and then you don't get a shot off.
And the inbound play leads to a easy Gerzic layup. She was wide open on the block. And that gives Crown Point their largest lead. They're up by double digits as Gerzic is harassing Bird before she crosses the line. Collins, corner 3, it was halfway down, and it spit itself back out.
Gerzic putting a lot of pressure on the ball, making it difficult for Portage to enter. Oh, boy.
Ritchie lost the ball, able to regain it. Not too much pressure on her when she's so far behind the three-point line. A drop down to Seibert and a foul on Portage, in which we saw Portage get called for a decent amount of fouls in the first quarter, and that was their second here in the second quarter. That one's on Elena Velasquez.
Well, and Crown Point's in a good situation when you have 6'4" post player out at the top of the key, which brings Portage's big out. And so now all those guards can go try and work a post up on somebody that's their own size without having to worry about getting a shot blocked.
Henderson with a bullet pass, and Seibert dribbled out of bounds. .4:11 to go. Portage looking for some answers offensively. McGowan knocked away from Gerzic.
Yeah, Gerzic is, she gets after people when they guarding the ball. Athletic enough to do it, three-quarter court, full court. She makes things difficult.
there's a couple of players on this Crown Point roster that has just good active hands, but they're not just swiping at the ball. They're calculated, and that's led to them averaging over 13 steals a game, transition points, whatever they can do to have less shots from the other team and more shots for them. As Velasquez, a bad shot. She went for the step back. She was out of control. Seibert saw it coming, and it leads to an air ball.
Crown Point seems pretty content to just play to have Henderson play behind the post. I mean, she's the Clark is what, 6'2", and Henderson 6'4", so Crown Point's pretty content to just have her sit there in the back, and should put her in a good rebound position.
Ritchie in the post after she gets a screen from Henderson, and her shot's off, then she goes over the back of Courtney Clark.
Yeah, and that's a frustration foul. Mad at herself because she missed the bunny even though it was contested. And
yeah, Ritchie, not only a great scorer, but she's also an efficient scorer. She's scored over 10 points in every game this year, coming in with averaging 18 points.
Yeah, she comes from a
steal.
Very good basketball family.
It's her versus Collins, and Collins has no choice but to hack Ritchie and make her earn it at the line. But like you're talking about, Ava Ritchie comes from a long line of really good basketball players. Her dad, her uncle, her brother all played collegiately.
Yeah. Well, and you know, her dad's a really good basketball coach, and a lot of girls on this Crown Point group have played together for a really long time, and I think Mr. Ritchie was one of the guys that coached them on their travel basketball. So a lot of the girls on this team have really spent a lot of minutes on the floor together, so they're going to be a load next year and the year after, as young as they are.
Yeah, Ritchie, the sophomore, Henderson, a junior, Hale's a sophomore, and Seibert's a sophomore. Punick is a junior, so that's their starting lineup right there. As Ritchie goes 2 for 2, she's now 19 for 19 at the free throw line. Want to keep that in my back pocket just to make sure it wasn't me that caused her first miss of the year if she ever does miss. Speaking about Ava Ritchie, she's not making it easy for Mariah Collins, sending the ball out of bounds.
No, and she's one of those players that fills the stat sheet.
Yes.
She does a lot of things for her team. She guards, she rebounds, she passes, and obviously she can score.
Yeah, Ritchie, we talked about the 18 points. She also has 4.4 steals per game. I would say that's pretty good. Scott from a mid-range jumper hit off the back rim. She gets another look, this time from downtown. Clark.
Great possession by Clark. 2 offensive rebounds, get to the free throw line. Good job of just banging down there and playing hard.
Clark, 2 offensive rebounds, and she's going to go to the line. Because it wasn't Ivy Henderson battling with Courtney Clark down there, which was surprising.
I think they switched off on a screen a little earlier in the possession.
Clark's free throw is wide. You would think if you were Coach Davis, too, if you saw that, Clark down low in a mismatch, you would try to get it down to her. Especially her in the post. She's a scary player, a junior. She goes 1 for 2. Crown Point wasting no time after that second free throw was made as Ritchie had a steam, and her pass was forced. As once again, it's Clark making plays for Portage here in the second quarter.
Yeah, she's having a good little quarter here.
They're going to get into the post to Clark. Clark doing whatever she can to get around Henderson. Henderson with the rejection.
Yeah, that's she catches it in deep, realizes she's got a bigger girl behind her, tries to work her way up with a crab dribble and come back towards the baseline.
Under 2.5 minutes to go in the second quarter, Crown Point leading by a dozen. Scott Lockett.
Boys basketball score, we got East Chicago Central up 18-11 over Valpo at the end of the first.
That's a big early season matchup for those two schools.
Yeah, a couple good boys games in the region tonight. Chesterton's hosting South Bend St. Joe. At Valpo East Chicago game, there's some pretty good programs planned.
Well, then tomorrow on the Region Sports Network, it will be Crown Point boys basketball in their season opener as they go up against Penn. Tip-off at 6:30.
Yes, it's a boys game at home.
boys game at home, and then the girls team will hit the road to go to Penn. Both games starting at 6:30 respectively. But one on the Eastern time, one on the Central time. Ritchie from downtown, too long. Worked around the screen from Henderson, got an open look, and Ritchie is usually a knockdown shooter from downtown, has yet to convert on any of her looks. Scott was able to bring in that high pass, lost the dribble, Lockett, penetrating the lane, loses it off her foot, and they're going to say that went off a Crown Point foot before it went out of bounds underneath the basket. Tick under a minute and a half. Sophie Hart will come in for Henderson. Hart was in foul trouble in the first quarter, picking up 2 quick ones. Contested 3, and Portage can't get one to go down. That had the wrong spin.
Both teams have gotten looks, and just neither team has shot really well today.
I don't think we've seen a made 3 yet. A lot of free throws and layups for both teams. Hale gets hit. Hale tosses it up, and she'll still get to go to the line for 2.
Same situation. They run a little UCLA cut off the top, get a side screen with a flare cut, and now they've opened up this entire side of the floor. They got a three-point shooter in the corner, so the girl with the ball's got the opportunity to drive to the basket, and if she gets doubled, can kick it out to a three-point shooter.
Substitutions for both teams, but we're a tick under 1 minute. At halftime, we'll have a commissioner's corner, and then me and Wally will be back here on the Region Sports Network to dissect this first half and get you ready for the second half. And Hale comes up empty. Portage rushing down the floor. Could go on a final run here and cut this Crown Point lead to single digits. Currently Portage trailing by 12. Crown Point's defense, one more tenacious ones.
Clark's out of the game, so they went to Whitehead, who Whitehead's a 6 foot tall herself.
Hale knocks away the pass from Velasquez. Under 30. Punick, baseline. Punick, step around, and that ball climbs over the rim and goes down for 2. Nice move by Ava Punick.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what their philosophy is, but anytime you give up a baseline drive, you're in trouble because it causes rotation problems. You need to get her, step her foot on that baseline to make sure that she cuts off the baseline.
Portage going to have to hoist one up, and it is blocked. One more look, and Scott's shot is not close. Crown Point's defense, a story in the first half, only allowing 7 points. We'll send you over to a halftime break. You'll get to listen in to the Commissioner's Corner, and we'll be back here on the Region Sports Network as you're watching Game Night on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
It's time for the Commissioner's Corner, an exclusive weekly conversation about Indiana high school sports with the Commissioner of the IHSAA, Paul Neidig. Now for an up-to-the-minute report about what's happening in the constantly changing world of high school sports, here's Commissioner Paul Neidig.
It is our weekly conversation with the Commissioner. Welcome into the Commissioner's Corner. I'm Brendan King, joined by the Commissioner of the IHSAA. It's Paul Neidig. Paul, congrats to you and your team on wrapping up another great IHSAA football state finals. And I guess this is officially the transition, right? As we get into December, football wraps up, basketball officially in full motion. How'd everything go last weekend at Lucas Oil Stadium?
Well, first of all, it's a phenomenal weekend. We had great attendance, and the games I thought they weren't decided. Sometimes you get there and based upon records and other things, people are saying this team's going to win, this team's going to win. These games were highly competitive, even though the score may not have ended up there at the end. But we had a 14-14 game at halftime in the 1A game, and and these kids really were prepared well. They played well, and their coaches did a great job with them. And so it was a great fan tournament.
What can you say about the partnership with the Colts? And, of course, the Colts then played the Texans on Sunday, and that's so special in our state that literally, professional football players are using this turf the day after, 2 days after high school players get to. The partnership with the Colts, another year down, right?
Yeah, that's right. The Colts are phenomenal. They do such a great job, and they they grow football in Indiana, like the Pacers Sports Entertainment helped us grow basketball, and they grow football, and they do a great job. And it's across the board. The work that they've done with not only the high school scene and honoring coaches and teams is great, but the work they've done to develop girls flag football in the state is phenomenal also. And so that only grows football across the board. And then again, the coaches are just phenomenal people that understand high school sports.
So a big shout out to all the Mental Attitude Award winners. 1A was Micah Rands, 3A was Brady Trebley, 5A was Abe Walling. Then the 2A game on Saturday morning, it was Micah Sheffer, Colin Ash from Roncalli in Class 4A. I thought it was super special, though, Paul, in Class 6A to wrap up the weekend. Cash Ballard from Westfield, who is one of the sons of Indianapolis Colts general manager Chris Ballard. I know Chris every year records a video for you guys as the teams are taking the field. So that's a special moment for every kid and parent when they're watching their son, their child, play at Lucas Oil Stadium. But how about to get Chris involved and have his son Cash win the Mental Attitude Award? Of course, that speaks to what he does at Westfield. But just for you guys at the IHSA to have that photo taken, Chris Ballard on the field with his family in the 6A game, how cool was that?
Well, it was real cool. And anytime a student athlete wins the Mental Attitude Award, it's something they put on their resume for the rest of their life. But, I saw Cash come through, and I saw his application. And first of all, a great football player. His command of the game and as the center on the offensive line there was great. But, he handled himself with such class all the way through. His interview post award was phenomenal also. And then, and that's for all families. It's just another opportunity to be proud of this child that they've raised. And, it was obvious that Cash has got a phenomenal upbringing and great parents, and that showed Saturday, and that's the reason why he was the Mental Attitude Award winner.
Paul Nottig, the commissioner of the IHSAA, with us on the Commissioner's Corner. So, Paul, full swing, girls basketball and boys basketball. I know last weekend, with the snow coming into town, it was greeted by a lot of postponements, I think 48 total basketball postponements on Friday night. So what's the process for you guys of helping get all those rescheduled on schools' dockets? And, again, 48 postponements, that's a big number.
Well, our schools do a phenomenal job. It's something that our athletic directors, I think, across the board are some of the best in the country, and they do a great job of managing those types of situations. And it's not just one phone call and say, we're going to play this game on this date. You have to work out the date, then you got to make sure you can hire officials. You got to let your fans know. You got to reschedule transportation. There's just a whole host of things that go with those reschedules, and our schools and our athletic directors do just a phenomenal job with that. And certainly it's not something that we want to do, but we're certainly prepared when it's time to make a reschedule.
Paul Nottig, the commissioner of the IHSAA. Paul, always a pleasure. Great job last weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon.
We'll talk to you soon, Brendan, and thank you for what you do to promote education-based athletics in this great state.
Thanks for listening to The Commissioner's Corner with IHSAA Commissioner Paul Neidig, and thank you for your continued support of the high schools in your community.
Tonight's broadcast is made possible by Strack & Van Til, your favorite Indiana-made grocery store. Crowell Insurance Company, the insurance superheroes. Ironworkers Local 395, proud to be union. Four Seasons Mechanical, quality and comfort is our guarantee. Boilermakers Local 374, earn while you learn. IBEW Local 697, proud to support high school sports. Bricklayers Local 4, the best hands in the business. Economy Electric Heating and Cooling, keeping you cool in the summer and cozy in the winter. The Right Group, the right way to buy and sell real estate. Mark Macknick, Chicagoland Tax Professionals. Blythe's Team Sports, where the athlete shops. And Hampton Inn, downtown Indianapolis. This is the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Four Seasons Mechanical proudly serves Northwest Indiana, providing quality, reasonably priced, reliable service. With a quality and comfort guarantee, the professionals at Four Seasons Mechanical offer a wide range of services in heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Whether it's residential or commercial, Four Seasons Mechanical is there 24/7. To find out more, the website is fourseasonsmechanical.com or give them a call at 219-756-7020. Four Seasons Mechanical, your indoor air quality specialists.
With electrical services from Economy Electric Heating and Cooling, you can radiate the perfect amount of light and energy into your home. From rewiring and code upgrades to ceiling fans, lighting, security, and more, Economy Electric Heating and Cooling's trained electricians will make sure you can enjoy your home on full power all the time. For a free estimate on electrical work, call Economy Electric Heating and Cooling at 219-923-4441, and you can visit them on the web at 4ajobdoneright.com. That's the number 4ajobdoneright.com.
Earn while you learn from the best hands in the business. The Bricklayers Allied Craftworkers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. That's right, this is a paid apprenticeship.
I'm getting an education while learning a trade and getting paid for it.
The thing that surprised me the most about this apprenticeship program is the respect I've received after the proper time and training.
Classes start soon, so apply now. There are training centers throughout Indiana and Kentucky. We are the Bricklayers and Allied Craftworkers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. The best hands in the business.
Calling all current and future homeowners in the Northwest Indiana area. Whether you're buying or selling, Brent Wright is here to make your real estate journey smooth and successful. With years of experience, personalized service, and a deep knowledge of the market, Brent will help you find the perfect place or get the best deal for your property. Call today at 219-406-7195 and take the first step towards your real estate goals. Contact Brent Wright, the right way to buy and sell real estate.
At Blyce, we're used to having the athlete shop at our store.
Down, sit, put.
But sometimes they get carried away. Blyce, this is where the athlete shops.
Located in the heart of downtown Indianapolis, the newly renovated Hampton Inn is within walking distance to over 30 restaurants and attractions, including Lucas Oilfield and Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Hampton Inn has much to offer, including a hot breakfast, high-speed internet access in every room, as well as a fitness center. Why wait? Make your reservations today. Call 317-261-1200 or make them on the web at hamptonin3.hilton.com. Hampton Inn, Indianapolis, downtown.
Mayor Pete Land and the Crown Point Pace Department are proud to support Crown Point Bulldog Athletics and say, Go Bulldogs! Crown Point remains dedicated to preserving history, celebrating everyday life, providing the best in city services, and encouraging smart growth. Visit the lower level of the historic Lake County Courthouse for photos with Santa from noon to 4 on Saturdays and Sundays beginning November 29th. Santa will also be there on December 23rd. Please bring a camera. Photos are free. Angel Mile with Wally McCormick. And Wally, before I ask you about the first half, you have any idea what you're asking for Christmas this year from Santa?
No, I'm just excited to have both my kids at home. I don't care.
There you go.
2 weeks off school and have everybody home.
But going into that first half, it was really heavily dominated by Crown Point's defense. Not getting as many steals as we're accustomed to, but their shot contesting has been second to none.
Yeah, and unfortunately for if you're a Crown Point Bulldog, they just can't make a shot.
No.
Portage, both teams got to look at it like, if you're Coach Davis, Portage did a good job getting into the middle of the paint, getting to the free throw line. Unfortunately, they didn't make the free throws. If you're Crown Point, they haven't shot the ball very well, but they've got a lot of good shots.
Well, both teams are on the floor, and now the referees are realizing that the time has run out on halftime, and we'll get back to basketball. Crown Point outscored Portage 11-4 in the first quarter and just 10-3 in the second quarter. As East Chicago leads Valpo 18-11.
And in the biggest game in the region tonight, Chesterton boys versus South Bend St. Joe. Chesterton's up 17 over the number 4 ranked South Bend St. Joe going into the fourth quarter. It's 57-39.
Oh, wow. So they're also just dominating them. Started off this year. Seibert to Punick. And it rolls out. Battle for the board. Collins comes up with it for Portage. Collins picks up her dribble. Has to go for a long bounce pass. Finding Gonzalez. Gonzalez skip pass into the corner. Portage now losing the ball. Scott went for the crossover and it rolled away. Collins able to recover it. Punick getting her hand on the ball. Going down the lane. The bump and the bucket.
Good anticipation and rotation on defense right there by Punick. Played the passing lane with the correct hand, got the steal. And
a great story on Ava Punick that was done on the Chicago Tribune, as Coach Stengel says, you just don't find players like her. She does a little bit of everything that allows them to be successful in other areas, that being scoring, passing, and you just saw it. Her defense is one of the best on the team. Crown Point with a 17-point lead. Whitehair caught it in the middle of the lane, threw it up, and it was off to the left.
Ritchie with another rebound.
Seibert, cross pass, Hale. Hale back to Seibert. Seibert one-on-one against Collins. Seibert has yet to dribble. She's trying to feed Henderson down low, but Henderson being closed off by Whitehair. They have a quiet first quarter for Ritchie. She missed some threes, had some turnovers, and Henderson being called for 3 seconds in the lane. It will be a Crown Point turnover.
Yeah, and Crown Point hasn't run a lot of set plays in the half-court offense, and that time they tried to. Seemed to be a little bit of confusion.
And it's probably good, too, that Portage is ready for that fast-paced Crown Point offense and forcing Crown Point to play in some more set offenses because this is what the season has been for Crown Point. Punick gets the steal, gets the bucket, and going to the line.
Pretty much carbon copy of 2 possessions ago. She does a nice job getting up in the passing lane. You know, if you're getting denied that far away from the basket, you got a back cut. You know, I'm sure Coach is frustrated. You never want to turn the ball over, throwing it back towards half court. Turnovers going towards the basket are bad enough, but when you're going back towards half court, that'll drive you nuts.
And Punick extends the Crown Point lead to 20 after she makes the old-fashioned 3-point play. Portage only able to score 7 points in the first quarter on minimal field goals made. They went to the free throw line a decent amount, and Portage almost had another turnover, but luckily for them, the arrow is pointing in their direction.
Yeah, good hustle by both girls getting on the floor. China Whitehead getting down there on the floor and regains the possession for Portage.
Yeah, Whitehead got the start over Courtney Clark today. Whitehead averaging over 3 points per game this year. Whitehead catches the inbounds pass. Lockett, top of the key, hands it off. Gallen, she's been quiet thus far, and she's really dribbling past, getting close to that timeline as Hale was pushing her back. Whitehead dribbling. Portage just has no answer for this Crown Point defensive turnover. Reined in by Seibert.
They're trying to run some dribble handoffs, but there's just too much space between the cutter and the girl with the ball, and Crown Point's able to get a defender through it.
Ritchie makes the scoop shot, and a timeout is called by Richard Davis and the Portage Indians. It's a full timeout, so we'll take a quick break as you're watching Game Night on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
When it comes to your money, you deserve more than just numbers on a page. You deserve someone who sees the full picture. Meet Mark Machnick, one of Northwest Indiana's most trusted accounting professionals. Whether you're running a business, planning for retirement, or just trying to make sense of tax season, Mark Machnick, located in Highland, makes it simple, personal, and believe it or not, painless. Contact Mark and his team today at 219-595-5290. Mark Machnick, CPA.
Pete & Sons Auto Repair has been servicing in and around the Crown Point community for over 40 years. A full-service preventative maintenance and automotive repair center, Pete & Sons performs high-quality, guaranteed service you can trust. All done at a fair price. Located at 1001 Breckman Drive in Crown Point, Pete & Sons is open Monday through Friday. Give them a call at 219-663-1484 or check them out on the web at PeteandSonsAuto.com. Pete & Sons Auto Repair. Let our family keep your family rolling.
Be sure to stay connected with all things Region Sports by supporting and following us on social media. We're always active on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, and online at regionsports.com. Celebrating over 25 years, we're proud to still be the only game in town. Which this isn't the only game in town. We have a Strachan Van Til hometown scoreboard update and a big game that we've been following tonight.
Yeah, and East Chicago and Valparaiso. Valparaiso's up 28-25. Going into halftime. So East Chicago made a little bit of a run there at the end of the second quarter, but Valpo's up by 3.
Big game in the boys division. Seibert from downtown. Off to the right. Line drive 3. Hale with the hustle. Gets the offensive board, giving Crown Point a second look. Have yet to see a single made 3 by either side. Ritchie gets the screen. Ritchie between the legs. Punick gets to Henderson. Henderson was in great position, and Henderson the bump in the bucket as Clark gets her.
And you talk about all the different things that Punick does. That's a great entry pass to the correct hand on the correct side, and once again, get the ball down low, and now you're at the free throw line again.
The most impressive part about Ava Punick is not only what she does for the team all around. Well, how would you react if I told you that Ava Punick didn't play basketball until her 7th grade year?
Well, some people are gifted.
It was essentially her dad said, "Do you want to try for the 7th grade team?" And she said, "Why not?" And now she's become that budding star with Ritchie and Henderson going into this new year for Crown Point. Trying to start off 9-0. They currently lead by 24. Portage still looking for their first bucket here in the second half as Collins went up and Hale got her on the arm. Crown Point on a 10-0 run to start off the third quarter.
Yeah, and Crown Point plays a lot different than they have. Obviously, with the coaching change, there's going to be a little bit of difference, but for so many years, Crown Point had won. You had the 4 years with Jessica, where she just dominated games. And then, the last couple years, the one girl that scored tons of points for them. And right now, they play 5 kids that can play. And I think that as a coach, you're happy that if somebody has a bad night, you got 4 other people that can still make baskets. So Crown Point's got a nice team.
Seibert going baseline, and she can't make the layup. She was wide open. You're talking about Jessica Carruthers, you and Coach Seibert, who was with Crown Point for 10 years, 17 years coaching in Northwest Indiana, 7 years spent here with Portage. Turnover by Rivera, too much dribbling. But he was saying that he's going to go watch Jessica play. Now she's over at UIC.
Yeah, she had a couple years left and wanted to go to grad school and was able to pick up. For her, it was important to be home or close to home, and so UIC is a great fit for her. And
Ritchie for the triple, and it goes down. First 3 made in this game, and of course it comes from Ava Ritchie, who's made exactly 2 threes in 5 straight games.
Well, and she's a problem if she's hitting her threes because she's really good off the dribble, can get into the paint, and when you have to go guard her out there, it makes it easier for her. Nice back cuts.
Nice cut, and then lose the ball as Jasmine Bird was walking right down the lane. No one between her and the basket. And I think she was shocked in how open she truly was. Yeah, Jessica Carruthers started off at Butler and then went to IUN where she was a stud there for a while. And now moving up to the big city. And she was here when Crown Point won their 3rd state championship in 2021.
Yeah, heck of a player, heck of a kid. Amazing career for Nikki Monahan, who's not Nikki Keith now, who's a Portage High School grad. I think probably the all-time leading scorer here at Portage still. She was a head coach over at IUN, and Jessica had a great career there. They have a really nice team, and it's a lot of local kids.
Hale got her hand on the ball but couldn't rail in that pass. Rivera finally has the ball ripped away by Hale. Hale with those active hands. Crown Point with a lead that's ballooned up to 27. 13-0 run, 3-ball, high arcing shot, and it's pure. Alaya Menchaca makes the second three for the Bulldogs, and now they're up 30, and an unforced turnover by Portage.
Yeah, and I kind of felt like all along that they start hitting a couple shots. This score could balloon up a little bit.
Yeah,
that's what's happened here.
I remember you mentioning in that first half that Crown Point was getting the looks, just not getting the rolls, and now those shots going down, Crown Point is starting to run away with it as we have a quick 30-second timeout. Mayor Pete Land and the Crown Point Pace Department are proud to support Crown Point Bulldog Athletics and say go Bulldogs. Crown Point remains dedicated to preserving history, celebrating everyday life, providing the best in city services, and encouraging smart growth. Visit the lower level of the historic Lake County Courthouse for photos with Santa from noon to 4 on Saturdays and Sundays beginning November 29th. Santa will also be there on December 23rd. Please bring a camera. Photos are free. And then at the conclusion of tonight's game, we'll have the Crown Company's Lanternman Superhero of the game. Crown Company's the insurance professionals, the Boilermakers Local 374 Blue Collar Player of the game. Boilermakers Local 374, earn while you learn with Boilermakers Local 374. And the Proud to be Union Play of the game presented by Ironworkers Local 395. Go to ironworkers395.com to start your future as a union iron worker.
Bulldogs starting this half out on a 16-0 run, and we're about just a little more than midway through the third quarter. Portage comes out of that timeout with full court pressure. Doesn't really seem to bother Crown Point.
And Crown Point has just one starter out there in Sydney Hale. Offensive rebound, and Hart lost it. Scott down the lane, and she can't get the roll, but she'll go to the line, and maybe, just maybe, this is where Portage finally gets on the board as they've been shut out in this third quarter.
Yeah, and Gerzik kind of got caught in no man's land. Do you try for the block? Do you take the charge? A little bit of both. And good job of Scott attacking the chest of the defender and getting to the free throw line. And the third quarter shutout is now over.
And it comes from a Scott free throw. Ritchie pops off the bench and will give Sydney Hale a breather. And going 1 for 2 is Scott. Ritchie looking down the floor. She has someone wide open, and that's a bad roll for Langens, and Ritchie gets the board, and now Ava Ritchie will get to go to the charity stripe.
Yeah, it's good hustle play by Ritchie. Throw the ball ahead, which is what everybody wants, right? You missed the layup, and her hustle play gets her down there, so she gets an offensive rebound. Now she's going to get some free throws out of it. Oh,
I knew that was going to happen. Her first missed free throw all year. It was after I brought up the stat that she was 19 for 19.
Yep, as soon as you said it, I was concerned that was going to happen. It's all right, we got a new streak.
Now she's
1 in a row.
Now she's 20 for 21 on the year. And Ritchie, she's got to be getting close to 10 points once again. It helped that she knocked down to 3. She's on a streak. In all 9 games, she scored 10 points or more for Crown Point. And talk about the scoring streak. Did you see LeBron James's record that stood since 2007 ended last night where he didn't eclipse 10 or more points?
Well, as a Lakers fan, that's disappointing.
Finished with 8, of course. And Ritchie, pull-up jumper in the lane. And mid-range maestro, Ava Ritchie, with 2 more.
Yeah, and what those makes do is it allows Crown Point to get into their press.
Well, Crown Point got the loose ball from Langens, who hit the floor. Gerzic against two defenders, and it doesn't matter. She powers through and gets a transition bucket. It's a 34-point lead for Crown Point and a steal by Ava Ritchie. Gerzic once again in transition. 3-ball on its way. Off to the right. Menchaca couldn't convert the transition triple. About 70 seconds left. Scott, the only point this quarter for Portage, is going back to the line, which she scored that 1 point.
Yeah, she's made a couple of aggressive moves to the basket there and got herself at the free throw line again.
It will go on Menchaca.
34-point lead here for the Dogs with 1:05 to go in the quarter.
But really, Wally, you're a Lakers fan. Is there a story behind that?
There is. My dad and my grandpa were Celtics fans.
Okay.
And when the draft of 1979, when the Celtics took Larry Bird and the Lakers took Magic Johnson, I decided to be the antithesis in the house and became a Lakers fan.
Of course, it was after those two faced off in the national championship game. Magic Johnson, who attended Michigan State, and Larry Bird, very famous for his stud play at Indiana State. So is it safe to say you watched that show Winning Time about those 80s Lakers?
I have.
Langen's corner three off to the right. Ritchie cleans it up.
Ritchie's having a game right now. She's starting to, she's got rebounds, she's got steals, she's got assists. She's having a good night. Final score out of Chesterton. Trojans 73, South Bend St. Joe 55. So a 20-point win against the number 4 ranked team in the state's a good way for Coach Urban's squad to start out.
They try to bounce back after they had a bit of a rebuilding year last year. Clark with some good moves, and Hart got her on the arm. Clark will go to the line as they'll stop the clock. With it being a 35-point game, and in the second half, there'll be a running clock. Clark airballs her first free throw.
On this quarter right now, it's 23-2 for Crown Point. So things have changed drastically here in the last 10 minutes.
That time, Clark was able to make contact with the rim as she goes 0 for 2, and a quick timeout was called. With 7.8 seconds left in the third quarter.
And you see both coaches right now using this as a learning opportunity. I mean, for all intents and purposes, this game is over. But Coach Stengel's working on an inbounds play right now because that may be something that they need tomorrow night against Penn, or later on down in the year they're going to need to get a bucket coming out of a timeout. Portage Coach Davis drawing up a defense, and their kids are playing hard.
Yes.
Which is...
That was pretty evident from the get-go as they were bodying up Crown Point, not showing any fear. But the one thing that I remember talking about a lot with Crown Point is that they've had so many blowout games, you almost feel like they haven't been battle tested yet. Getting late to that fourth quarter, tight game, who's going to take the big shot? I can't tell you how many times they've gotten to that fourth quarter and their starters are just resting on the bench.
Well, and that's difficult too. And I use a football analogy. Crown Point's football team was kind of like that, where they had won so many games handily over the course of the last 2 years that it was they